Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Water and Sewer Board meeting for Monday, July 7th, 2025 at 2 p.m. The mayor is on his horse joining us. Just opened it up, so you didn't miss anything. So we'll move right into the monthly stormwater moment. As we've
The infamous?
Yes, as we've said during several different meetings, you know, about cars and parking on the streets and driveways, how impervious surfaces get whatever leaks out of your car onto the road, gets washed down. The rain washes the oil into the storm drains, which leads straight to our streams, rivers, lakes, and oceans, and local water bodies. So don't spoil our waterways with oil or any other the lubricants that go into your vehicle. Oil in our waterways is toxic to people and pets, fish, wildlife, and plants. So check leaks regularly and keep your car tuned. Change your oil responsibly and remember to recycle used motor oil. Never pour it down the storm drain. So just be cautious and care about your vehicle.
Great.
Okay. I don't have any billing issues, so we can move on to the resolutions.
There were a couple out there hanging. I think we satisfied those, didn't we?
Yeah, we did those because we had that special meeting.
That's what somebody's looking for.
Yeah. And I thank you for that, for having a special meeting, so that we can take care of those that were outstanding.
Great.
All right, so we'll move on to resolutions.
Mm-hmm.
The first is the approval of the water and sewer minutes from June 2nd, 2025.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Any discussion, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll move on to approval of the water and sewer minutes from June, special meeting of June 16th, 2025.
Make a motion?
Second.
Second.
Any discussion, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Okay. Next, we got approval of the warrant. Any questions on
I had a
that?
couple of quick ones.
Yep.
Just for clarification for
Yep.
my own. I just gotta find them.
Yeah, just let me know pages and,
Warren Tire on page 3 for an inspection for $529. I had to be including some repairs.
yeah, it had some, repairs.
That's what I figured.
I believe it was the Jeep up at the water treatment facility.
Yep. I had another one, I can't find it. There. There were a couple of lab invoices there that, the other one was there, we bought hydrants, valves and meters for patent properties. To the tune of almost $2,000.
Page?
Page 4.
Yeah, that was a valve that we needed to change out in the street that was just in front of the patent properties. That's how we identified it.
It was just identification, they were patent.
Yeah.
Okey-dokey. No further question.
All right. Anyone else? I just have one clarification on page 13. I had thought that all of the bills were in for the switchgear project. There was one outstanding for $6,110 for the generator rentals.
Oh, I was wondering, yeah, I meant.
Yeah, so that,
I thought maybe we had an outage or
that
something.
pushed us over just $800,000.
Gotcha.
So probably about 800,000, 800. Just over.
Just over the 8 mark.
Yep.
Which was good, because we had 10 budgeted.
Yeah, $1 million budget.
Yeah, I said 10. Million budgeted, the 20% is the contingency, and so came in as we'd hoped. That's good.
I make a motion to approve the warrant.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried.
The final resolution is we have a transfer of $250,000 for the reconstruction fund account. 10911-707, P78-130-447-944, sludge disposal for reimbursement of funds used for the electrical switchgear. As you remember, initially we took the $300,000 out of the same account from 2024 because we were going to have funds left over in that account. So that left us with roughly $500,000 because we just came in at 800. So we were going to take $250 from the reconstruction fund and $250 from the ARPA funding that was left over.
Right.
So this is
Not left over, allocated.
allocated.
Wisely allocated.
So right now, Chris is running near zero. It's got about, I have it here, let me just check it here. He's got roughly about 125,000 left in the account, and we spend roughly between 65 and 75,000 a month. So that was up until July 1st. So this month will make him pretty close to, maybe $50,000 left, maybe less. So we put this in, we should be good, and then we'll see with the remaining funds from the ARPA funds, we should be good for the rest of the year. I'm thinking that at the end of the year, if we have a surplus in this account, we may transfer it back to the reconstruction funds because we won't need it, but we won't know that until the end of the year.
Say that again, Bill, for me. I'm fine with it, but I just...
Right now, I was hemming and hawing, but because we're so low in this and
In what one?
the sludge disposal.
Sludge disposal.
And we
That's
use
where I
about
missed
roughly
it.
65 or 75,000 a year, and right now we're at 126. So if we take the 75, we pay about 50, August 1st,
Yeah,
and then we'd be negative by the time September 1st rolled around. So we
Okay.
transfer this money in, and then we transfer in the ARPA money
from, into
into the
the,
sludge disposal.
gotcha.
So if we take the money, we transfer the sludge from the reconstruction to the sludge disposal, then the ARPA to the sludge disposal. That will make
Pay
that
itself back.
Yeah, to make that whole. And then by the end of the year, if we are running a surplus, we can look at that and then maybe send some funds back to the reconstruction
Gotcha.
so that we won't use as much reconstruction funds.
And the reconstruction goes from, when that's all done, it will have dropped to about 250?
Yes,
Okay, so if nothing was to go back, your reconstruction fund, is that water or sewer?
sewer.
So it goes from about 1.9 million to about 1.7,
That's
1.6 and a half?
The last time I looked, I think they were saying it was somewhere about a little over $1 million.
Okay, so
Okay.
sewer's less than water.
Yeah.
One
So
of them was
these are-
1.9.
I think you're talking about the fund balance.
Oh, I am. Thank
Yeah,
you very
yeah.
much. I apologize.
No,
Yeah.
no.
So
not
the
at all.
reconstruction had about $1 million in it,
A little more
and
than
it'd
a
go
million.
to about
Say 750.
750.
Yeah.
Okay.
And these are the funds that we utilize from the 4 district communities that utilize the wastewater treatment facility for
Good.
any large upgrades to the facility.
Okay.
Again, unfortunately, we won't be able to bill for the reconstruction other than because we're using the reconstruction fund. That's what that fund is for. The ARPA fund is a grant, so we can't bill on that. And the only one that we really can bill on is probably the 300,000 from last year when we billed for reconstruction from 2024.
Municipalities.
Yep. So
Okay.
5% from Morrow, 5% from South Glens Falls, and then
You can't
full
use money
proportional
from
fund.
that fund and then ask them to reimburse that money because
We
they're
already
going to
paid
give it
into
to
it,
you
yeah.
from the beginning. Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
All right. So would I be looking for a motion
To
for approval
transfer.
for the transfer?
So,
Second?
All in favor?
Yep. Aye.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen.
mhm.
Electrical upgrade update. I talked to Chris Pierce the other day. They've completed their review, internal review. They're hoping to have it to us by believe you said the 24th of July. So by the end of the month, hopefully we'll have it in hand, and then we'll go through it. I think it's going to be an arduous task. It's going to be, you saw the preliminary drawings, and then we're going to get the specifications along with it. And so we'll have to go through that, and then we'll make whatever our comments on, and then we'll decide on how we want to proceed, whether we want to put it out to bid. We want to continue to see what kind of state funding we can secure. We're just in the process of resubmitting the engineering report because EFC asked us to update it, and along with what we had with the electrical upgrade, all the improvements along the way. So we've done that. John Goldie, who did the initial engineering report, is putting his final touches on that, and we should have it hopefully the EFC sometime, probably before we have the 90% drawings.
And we pray.
And then we hope that it scores higher than it did. We also, I don't have it unfortunately in the discussion, but I know we've talked about it before, that we were successful in getting the assessment of the facility assessment through New York State. They've picked an engineering firm. We had a little kickoff meeting, initial kickoff just internally. It was CHE. I think they've done work here before. CHA, Club Harbor. Associates.
Pretty sure.
They've done a lot of work here before. They were picked by the state to do this. We had a little kickoff meeting. I was actually in town, so I came in a little late, but Chris, Jason, and Christian were all in attendance, and they started getting the information that the gentleman required. Mike Miller's his name, so it's easy for Chris to remember his name. So we're in the midst of that, doing that, and that'll will give us a few points too. So, Bacon Street sewer line replacement update, that's been completed. I think just prior to the ribbon cutting ceremony on the Stewarts, there was a water main leak, so we had to take care of that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I think
God's got a sense
we had
of
it under
humor.
control, I think, on a Saturday morning, and they came in Monday, repaired it. I think they came in at like 6:30 and had it repaired by 8:30. So I think it's just a tap that had gotten pulled out, so they took care of that. So that was all taken care of. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I didn't get a chance to ride down the street, but I know they were supposed to go back and pave the excavation there.
You know, did a nice job. It was on South Street. I think it was Derek Leo's
Yeah.
guys that did it. I mean, you drive over that, you don't even notice it.
Yeah, the same thing on Maple Street, they did a
Yeah,
really
Maple
good job.
Street, they did a nice job.
Yeah. MS4 permit and discussion. We had a discussion with Warren County Water and Soil. They're handling Queensbury, Lake George. I think Warrensburg also has like a conglomerate of the communities. So we've asked them to take a look at ours. It's just a lot of information that they ask that Warren County's already doing for us. They're doing all the samplings of the outfalls. They're doing all of our reservoir work. So we thought it would be only wise to go ahead and ask them to give us a proposal. So we're waiting to hear back from them. I think our next material that's due with the state is sometime either late September or early October. So we're hopefully to have everything finalized.
How are they doing with the reservoirs? No algae blooms this year or nothing?
Ron, you can't say that during hot weather. Hot
Yeah,
weather.
I'm saying.
You're gonna jinx it. Now I gotta rag on the wood. No, we haven't. It's
Was
been.
it last year, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Lake George had them. Everybody, it seemed like everybody was having them.
Yeah, we had one little area up on Wilkie, and no, I think it was Butler Intake, and we had the guys from Dan from McElrath from DOH come up and look at it. He said it wasn't. So we've been very fortunate.
Because Lake George, I haven't heard anything about that. And the beaches, they've closed or.
Yeah.
It's usually when it happens this time of year, so.
Yeah, especially.
That's good.
Well, a lot of it, I think, anyway, those algae blooms are almost always sooner or later tied to sewage in it, and they knew that they were getting, there was a ton of dumping of of old septic systems, and that they also, I think they knew it had something to do with the $1 Million Beach. And
I'm sure it did. The pumping station right across the street.
it's just
Well,
funny
that's,
that all that work
Warren
got
Shepherd's
done,
Park.
and we haven't had an algae bloom since, right? And they're also starting to really make progress on their mandating of the inspection of the septic systems on Lake George. I mean, the people fought it for a long time, and they finally got it passed. And I think that, I mean, I'm feeling more relieved, but I don't own property up there either. So, right, I'd
It's
hate to.
expensive.
It
You know,
very,
a couple people
right?
gotta have
Very
it.
expensive.
Very expensive. I know one guy, his parents, well, his father died, his mother's, in a assisted living. He has a house on the lake. There's no water to it, there's nothing to it. They're making him, he's gotta dig
Redo
up
it.
and they gotta do the inspection on it. If it fails, he's gotta replace it.
Sure. It's probably 70, 80 years old, right? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
right? Yeah.
An old oil tank.
Well,
Who knows?
yeah. And I bet it's going to force some people into selling their lifelong properties. You know, I mean, that's got to be tough stuff.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Okay, I know that Jeremy's been in touch with David, and Jeremy and I have talked about it, I guess, during some of the discussions with the rink.
Mm-hmm.
One of the ENCON officers, the DEC ranger.
Yeah, DEC, ECO, Environmental Conservation Officer, patrol guy.
Yeah.
Yep, so he's offered, he lives locally, and he's offered to do, when he's around and available, do enforcement for us on the watershed properties.
Oh.
He said all he would need would be a letter from you, which I can draft, that says that he is free to enforce, federal, state, and local laws and trespassing laws, particularly on watershed properties.
So he's a DEC officer
Yep,
saying he's willing to help us.
yep.
So we should have that conversation with, because we're in the middle, through our
Yeah.
tree commission and everything in that grant, or, I mean, sorry, not just the tree commission, but
With
Warren
Queensberry
County
and
Soil
Warren County,
and
so we're
Queensberry.
always looking at the ranger. I think this just would be in addition to that,
Yep,
so we'd have almost a double whammy now.
Yeah.
And we.
because he said as it is now, he sees people in there all the time, and he said he really, because he hasn't been specifically called, he can't go on. So like if I have a trespasser on my property over in Greenwich, if I want DEC to come and ticket him, I gotta call him. So if we give him an open-ended letter that just allows him to go on the property anytime, even though he doesn't suspect a game violation, that he can go if he sees people and he can ticket them for trespass, fishing without a license. He said he was up there and he saw a couple of kids hauling their kayaks across the road, and he said they've learned just what to say, because he said he could see the kayaks were wet, and he said, were you on this property? And they said, nope, we just read the signs and we're going to obey the signs and we're not going to go on the property. And he said their kayaks were already wet. So he said, he didn't do anything with them. We said in those circumstances he would be able to, give a little bit more of a business and help us out. So he's a really nice guy. I would certainly recommend doing that. There's certainly not a downside at all. It's just one more.
Well, you're going to get screaming people. So I think we should, in our workshop, start to talk about what our message is and what we're working with the town of Queensberry on, because we are, I'm agree that there's no downside as far as we're concerned. We want less people. We've had the 30-year posture that less people on our watershed means less pollution and it's better. Right? It is not what the community surrounding us feels, and nor the town, nor the county, nor anybody else. And so, if we're going to move in that way,
Yeah.
we better be ready and know what we're asking. Right? We know we have had a council member discover that there's a bike path along the lower watershed. And
The well-established
wants
one.
a well-established one. I want to say, oh, really? Apparently, I've been reading the water and sewer meeting minutes, because we walked it, we saw it, and we know exactly what it is. And you know, we have a group that's come in and said they'd help us redevelop it. And then we got John with moving that forward. We need to move forward with our plan so that we can help when these complaints do come to us, that here's what our plan is, here's what we're doing, here's how we're educating people. I did run into the superintendent from Queensbury, who said that they are doing education. Remember, he was walking with us that day.
Yeah.
And, you know, we talked about educating these students on that this is our watershed and that this is trespassing, right? And so I think we need a long-term plan, and I think we know the steps we're taking, but we should talk about the steps and how we're going to utilize this enforcement to reinforce what our long-term plan is and short-term goal. Is the goal to close down that? He could easily shut down the most well-trodden illegal bike path in the state, right? But illegal dog park in the state, right? But what are we going to do, and what are we going to say what our plan is?
Yeah, and I think just going forward, and I guess the DEC officer would know too, is, you know, we have designated trails for you to
Right.
utilize and
That's what
walk.
irks me, you know, there's
Yeah.
a trail up 2 miles up the road.
Yeah.
Let's use that.
And, you know, there's plenty of areas that, you know,
Yeah.
Queensbury has where you can dump, and transfer stations where you can go to and dump. You know, not necessarily in our watershed.
Yep.
That's what we don't want.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know,
Yeah.
we've all seen it. I mean, I've stopped people and, you know, we were gonna go back to pick it up. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just dumped it temporarily.
Yes, yes.
Well, we should
Just get
make
moving out of the
a point
way.
of discussion at the workshop, because there's, quick thought, there's gonna have to be a point person in the city for him to contact to say that they warned
That's
6
correct.
people today.
Yeah.
Not to be-
And once we have this plan, I think we need to talk to the council about it, because the council, there are a couple of council members who do not understand and think that we need to be opening all of our watershed to recreation. And I think we're saying only under certain circumstances in this way.
Yeah.
But we haven't formally educated, A, we haven't written it up. B, once we do, we need to educate everybody, starting with the council and then going outward to the communities and make sure Queensbury's
Mr.
involved.
Stroud and the,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Some of the council's clearly, you know, aware of it because they were there when the other plan got approved with the Queensbury for the lower watershed. So,
Yeah, no, I mean, I was there too. It's aware and forgotten, aware and not understood what it implied, and aware and not understanding our ongoing concerns, not understanding the kind of dumping that's going on. It's clear that they're not aware of any of that. So, let's make that a conversation, one of 2 topics in our workshops, right? And so I'm happy to sign the letter, but I want to be prepared for the complaints. We're going to get them,
Okay.
and that's great. And I want to have I want to share it with the DEC officer. B, I want to share it with us and make sure we're all on the same page, and then we share it with the council and the community and John Stroud and everybody. Then the second thing on our workshop that I was going to mention anyway, an additional discussion point, is to talk about following up. We've got the one assessment done by Raftellus, and we got the second one coming right now and soon. And we need to talk about what those findings mean to us. We weren't able to do that. Remember, I said, look, we really need to know, is quarterly billing the right way? How are we different? We've heard stories that we're more expensive than the town of Queensbury. They've done it in different ways. That's not what the report said to us. We were in line with a lot of. We need to get that, we need to digest it and form a document or a summary of it so that we can then have you present it to the council in digestible ways. There's political agendas there, and we want to make sure that we are truly understanding what this, now that we paid for this assessment, what does it mean, how would we move forward or not? Right? I mean, it's too easy for me to say we need to go to monthly billing. I really think we should. But the cost of the monthly billing alone would increase, I mean,
Almost $400,000.
yeah, almost 400,000. So hey, maybe we shouldn't do monthly billing. Yeah, I don't know, right? Maybe we should make monthly payments an option and email, getting emails so that people can pay online and maybe our bill should say what the monthly cost of the water and the sewer is so that they can see it and they don't, because there's so many people that will constantly say, I've got a $400 or $350 water and sewer bill. It's, oh my God, but it's like, well, that's less than your cell phone cost.
Yeah.
But you don't pay your cell phone quarterly. And wouldn't you, right? So anyway, I think we need to look at that, and I want to move forward with it because it will move forward without us if we don't. Other people will make their own agendas out of it, and it's much harder to play catch up to those negative assertions, right? Thank you.
I'd like to
Okay.
go on record about the DEZ guy, having understood, heard what you're saying about instant enforcement and justice instant kickback to that. But I sort of silver lining see that as a way to get to rules, regulations, parameters faster, because nothing lets you see the eye color of a bear better than poking it.
Yeah.
So, we enforce the things that are supposedly to be enforced and haven't been well over decades, and then quickly hear what the opinions are. And they can have my email. If it's, keep your desk clean. I'm happy with that too, because I think it needs to go down. But I also feel like there's a potential there to use that as quick and specific feedback, rather than just
Yeah.
a thought.
Problem is if we haven't thought through the feedback and how our responses will be, and I think we have. I just don't think we've ever written it down and it's not formal.
Yep.
And I'm learning the hard way that miscommunication, if it's done well, can rule the day, right? We don't need a group of people out there saying that we're just enforcing this because we're old and we don't understand the value of our recreational facilities and the needs and
I think, everybody likes the recreational aspects of it, but I don't think they realize the potential of contaminating the only drinking water sources that the city of Glens Falls has.
yes. And how a long-term plan of having both in a responsible way is the goal of this group. It's not just to fine and bother people in Queensbury trying to enjoy their backyards, which is what the perception is. And I am learning that left unchecked, it's like you tell a lie long enough, it becomes that must be it. It must be the truth. They just don't care. They just don't have anything better to do than to kick us out of their favorite hiking place, right? Okay, great.
All right. I don't have any personnel issues or executive session stuff. At least I don't.
I do not.
Okay. So,
Great. Next workshop meeting.
We're gonna take a look at the MACCON.
yes, I'm still waiting for the numbers to get the numbers. Yep, you're absolutely right. Yeah, I talked to Boomer today.
That's
Okay,
right.
did
But
you?
yeah. But because there was two vendors that gave us numbers. One was better than the other. So one was like 75,000. I thought the first one was like 125. So
Really?
it's a substantial difference. So I will make sure that we try to get some
I
numbers.
just don't want us to be sitting here someday needing that thing.
I don't think
Yeah.
we ever
Made
discussed
up.
it, really.
Yes, yeah, and this is the perfect time because if we're going to include it in the budget, this is when we need to do it.
That's great.
I think that'd be a good idea to try somewhere.
You thinking replace the old one?
Yeah.
If it starts costing money, it's just,
Oh, yeah.
How much?
monthly
Like
bills
my
for
truck.
repairs,
Yeah,
So, they use it a lot now, they honestly do, but
Yeah, I mean,
you see it
it's-
everywhere.
Did we discuss with Chris's
Oh, yeah.
thing, catch-all that goes down a sewer pipe? We didn't do that.
Stormwater drains, did you see that? He emailed out.
I did refresh my memory.
Well, I asked him to do the same for me. I thought when I had gotten a reply from somebody, or maybe it was a passing conversation about something to take a look at in a Jeremy realm. like, give a look.
right, well-
But I couldn't tell you who that was, when
Let
it
me
was,
take a look
or
into
whether
it.
it happened, and I
And
just had
we'll-
great dreams, I
We'll
don't know.
bring it up at the workshop.
It's right here.
It made me specifically
It was just a
of
net that
Grandma.
went on the end of some of the stormwater.
Would be a good spot for that. Is
Oh, at the netting? I had not seen
going
this. so-
across the bridge
Yeah.
in the canal there, there's a big pipe that runs all
Yeah,
the time.
It's a
Yep.
suggestion.
A big net sock, yeah. So that's, that would be something to run by Warren County, because they're the ones that are,
Yeah, maybe they.
Monitoring
maybe
our,
they know about it.
outfalls.
Maybe they're-
yeah. Yeah, no, I'll double check it, that's
A good spot for that would be at the bottom of Lund Street Hill, and that
Yep.
pipe right there in the canal.
Maybe
Then
it'd be a place to
everybody-
try one and just see, you know.
It's visual, and people could see it, and if it's full of junk, then that's what happens.
Yeah.
It's your stormwater moment, you know.
Yeah.
It's great.
Good one, Chris.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see.
I don't remember where it came up, but I saw it, and I was like, whoa. That's the amount of Gatorade bottles I've seen floating at the end of Crandall Pond trying to get under the road in years past, you know, like.
Yeah.
It's exactly the kind of thing that could, but somebody's gotta empty it, somebody's gotta see if it's still there and not ripped off, so, you know, it's
Sure.
not free, and I get that, but if it's, if
Yeah.
it's easy enough to.
It's full of nickels, it might be gone.
Well, that's true too, it'll take care of itself.
It's too heavy to lift.
But if it's something that's fairly durable, gets put on at the beginning of a season or every quarterly or whatever, and it's low intensity on the
Yeah.
staff, then, I don't know, maybe it's something to do with something.
Well, and I believe Warren County Soil and Water would help us.
Yeah, they might be familiar with them
That would be
anyway.
MS4 points too, wouldn't it? For
Yeah.
taking, I don't know if we're in need of those, or deficit or not.
No, that would definitely be part of the MS4.
Okay. You see the next dates, July 21st and then August 4th. There goes July. I'm blank. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Sure.
So,
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Thank you.